Hi, I'm Sue, and this is Savage Spiel War Stories. I'm playing in a Forbidden Lands campaign at the moment, and we are having a lot of fun with the Magic Mishap table. Only a week ago, my character found herself suffering from a critical injury.
Help me, please. My lung is punctured. I'm dying. Then worse, I can't sing.
When he realised that my character was dying, our druid came rushing over to cast a healing spell, only to roll a magic mishap and have the spell backlash in his face, knocking out one of his teeth, giving him a critical injury of his own. Fortunately, he had been collecting dwarf teeth earlier on in that adventure, so he simply added it to his collection. This isn't the first time our druid has had trouble with magic mishaps, of course. In an earlier fight, he was trying to cast a spell to turn himself into a bear, got a magic mishap, and... So, that's the bear we're fighting, that's the druid, that's the necromancer. Or is that the bear we're fighting? Is that the druid? Is that the necromancer? Honestly, the only person in this fight who's not a bear right now is Shalendra, with her lovely golden locks. Golden locks, 3 bears. It sounds like there's a story in there. Of course, not all games have magic mishaps built into the core system, but they can be added in through various supplements. Pathfinder, for example, in both 1st and 2nd edition, had these fumble decks. Oh, we've had a lot of fun with fumble decks. The magical fumbles in 1st edition were perhaps a little too brutal, and they have been toned down a bit for 2nd edition, but they still add a bit of fun. So let's see what we've got. Not me, you fool. You hit the ally nearest to the target. Also always embarrassing. You made him faster. The target is quickened for 2 rounds. Oh, and this is a fun one. Bleeding eyes. You take 1d6 persistent bleed damage. So, that's Pathfinder's take on magic mishaps. But one of my home group's most memorable incidents of magic mishaps came from a game of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition. Back in 1991, a supplement for this came out called the Tome of Magic, and this gave rules for playing wild mages. The wild mage was a subclass of a mage, and it had some additional rules. When you cast a spell as a wild mage, you additionally rolled 1d20, and depending on what result you got, that affected how your spell turned out. It could mean that you cast it at a lower level. It could mean you cast it at a higher level. Or there was a 1 in 20 chance that you'd get a wild surge, and then you'd be rolling on the wild surge table, and all kinds of wacky things could end up happening. The incident in question concerns a very high-level mage. He was heading off into a cave to make himself a lair or something. Nothing particularly spectacular, and it was a bit dark, so he decided to cast light. Rolled his d20. So that's a wild surge. I'll roll on the table. 54. That means a gate opens to a randomly chosen outer plane. That I'll roll on the table. It's the abyss. Okay, 50% chance for an extra planar creature to appear. It could be alright. So as the small pebble in your hand begins to glow, in front of you, you see a portal open to a fiery hellscape, and through it steps a Baelor, wielding a fiery whip and a lightning sword. He swings his sword at you and gets a natural 20. Okay, let's roll some damage. He steps through the portal and beheads you. And this is where things really get interesting, because this was a very well-prepared high-level mage, and prior to this incident he had cast Contingency. Now, Contingency is a way of storing a spell for later use. You set a trigger on it, something like being underwater or falling a certain distance, and when that trigger occurs, the spell gets cast. The trigger that he had set for this contingency was death. So, naturally, when the Baelor cut his head off, his contingency immediately fired, and the spell that he had used for his contingency was alternate reality. Now, what alternate reality does is it forces the target to re-roll whatever it did in the last round. So the Baelor re-rolls his last attack and gets a natural 1. Well, we know the rules. 1, 2 hits one of you, 3, 4 drops to the floor, 5, 6 needs to be fixed. That's a 1. Well, he's the only one there, so it hits him, I guess. Right, see his damage roll. Oh. So, as the stone starts to glow in your hand, a portal opens, revealing a fiery hellscape in front of you. Out of it steps a Baelor, wielding a lightning sword and a flaming whip. He swings his sword and beheads himself. So that is my favourite magic mishap. Accidentally summoning a Baelor, only to have it cut its own head off at the first sight of you.